welcome to Elemental Flows. My name is Christina, and thank you for joining me in today's practice. Today I have another Vinyasa flow prepared for you. So this will be a full body sequence, and we'll definitely work on some strengthening components within the flow so you can expect to feel a little bit more energized and invigorated after you finish this sequence. So let's get right into it. We're going to start on our mat, lying down in Shavasana to begin. So come into a comfortable position for you. You can close down the eyes if you like. And we'll take these first few moments just to settle into our practice. So on an inhale, let's breathe in through the nostrils and exhale out through the mouth. Continue with this deep breathing, following your own pace and rhythm. Just take note of how you are arriving in your practice today. Are you physically feeling and doing? We'll start to move our bodies. Let's begin by taking that right knee into the chest. And just grab hold of your shin and bring the knee a bit closer towards you. Let's now take the right knee, guide it with the left hand over to the left side. So the knee can come either to the floor or onto a block. Let's take that right arm out to the side, and then if it feels comfortable in your body, you can turn the head over to the right. Good, let's bring that knee back to neutral and we'll repeat on the other side. So let's extend that right leg out, and this time you take the left knee into the chest. And just hold it here for a couple of breaths. Notice what shifts in your body as you do this, as you take your knee in. And now with the right hand, let's guide that left knee over to the right side. We extend that left arm out to the side. And once again, you can turn your head to the left if that feels good for you. Let's take that left knee back into the center line. And now we'll take both knees in towards the chest. Place your hands on your knees and we'll do some circles just to open up the hips a little bit more. So do some circles going around in one direction with your knees. And then after you've done a few on one side, switch directions and go the other way. Now let's tuck the knees into the chest once again, and this time we're going to rock back and forth on our mats to try and build some momentum so that we could come up to meet in a seated position on the mat. Now let's start to open up the upper body here. So let's begin with some neck circles. So we'll tuck the chin into the chest. And then let's take that left ear over to the left shoulder. Let's bring that chin once again down to the chest. And now let's take the right ear over to the right shoulder. Tuck the chin once again down to the chest. And now let's go to the left side. Continue with these semicircles with your neck, going at your own pace once again. Follow your breath and follow your rhythm. Good. Let's tuck the chin once more down to the chest and then lift the head all the way up. We'll do some circles now with our shoulders. So let's go backwards with our shoulders. Just doing some rotations here. And then switch directions and now go forwards. Good. And now from here, let's tilt the head over to the left side. We're going to apply some additional pressure to the top of the head with the left hand. The right hand comes down to meet the mat on the right side. And once again, just notice how this feels for you and what shifts in your body. Now let's drop that left hand down to the floor. We reach out with our right arm and then bring that right hand all the way over to the left. With the left arm, you can either come down to your forearm or you can use a block and place it underneath your forearm if you want to bring the floor a bit more closer to you. Just make sure while you're here that you're opening up the chest to the sky and reaching out through those fingertips. Let's drop that right hand now down onto the left side. So just past, or let it rest on that left thigh. And then we take the left hand towards the back of the mat as we twist. And we're still just beginning to open up our body, so you don't have to go too deep into this twist. Good, and let's release. We repeat that on the other side. So we begin by tilting the right ear over to the right shoulder, take the left hand down to the left side, and then with the right hand, apply some pressure to the top of the head. Now let's drop that right hand down. We reach out with our left arm and then bring that left hand all the way over to the right side. And once again, you could come down to your forearm or use a block. Just make sure that both sit bones are resting on the mat. Now let's drop that left hand down. It rests on that right thigh this time. We take the right hand towards the back as we twist. And while in this twist, try to make sure that you're not raising the shoulders up. Think about bringing them down. Let's release the twist. Come forward so that you face the top of the mat. And now we'll interlace the hands behind us and then press the hands down so that we open up the chest and tilt the chin into the sky. Now release the hands. We round the spine as we do so. We round the arms out in front of us as if we're holding a big ball. And then let's drop the hands down to the mat. We're going to walk the hands forward so that we come up onto our knees to come into a neutral tabletop position. So our hips are directly over our knees, our shoulders are directly over our wrists. And let's just begin to intuitively move our bodies. So find the spaces that are feeling a little bit tense and try to bring some movement into those areas. Now let's come to a neutral tabletop position. Engage the core here. And let's press into the left hand. So we lift that right arm up to the sky. Open up the chest to the right. And then on an exhale, let's send that right arm down and feed it through to the left side as we bring the side of the head down to the mat. Let's press into the left hand to lift that right arm back up to the sky. And then drop that right hand down to meet the mat. Let's repeat on the other side. So this time we press into the right as we lift the left arm up. And on an exhale, let's send that left arm to the right side. Let's press into the right hand once again, lift up with the left. And then exhale, let's bring that left hand down to the mat. Now let's walk our hands forward to come into our puppy pose. So we drop the forehead down to meet the mat. Our hips are still directly over our knees. And we engage the core here so that we don't overarch the spine. And if you want to intensify the stretch a bit further, you can come up to your fingertips here. Good, and now let's bring ourselves forward so that our stomachs come down to meet the mat. And we'll do some undulations with the spine. So on an inhale, let's lift up the chest gently. Exhale, we release the chest back down to the mat. Do it 2 more times. Inhale, we lift up with the chest. See if you could go a little bit higher. Exhale, we release. 1 more. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, release. Let's lift up 1 more time, but this time we place our forearms on the ground in front of us. So we open up the chest, gazes forward, and we lift out through the crown of the head. Let's release the chest back down to meet the mat. And this time we press into the hands, send the hips back, and we'll come into a child's pose. I'm going to take a wide-legged variation. So my big toes are together, knees are wide apart. I reach my arms forward and the forehead rests on the mat. Good, and let's bring ourselves back up. We're going to take the knees into the middle so that we could tuck the toes underneath us and then press into the hands and feet to come into our first downward facing dog. So once again, let's take some intuitive movement here. So find the spaces that are a bit tight and just try to bring some movement into those areas and breathe into those spaces. And then come to find stillness here in your downward facing dog. Let's look towards the top of the mat now and walk the hands or walk the feet to meet the hands. On an inhale, let's press the hands into the shins so we come up to a flat back. Exhale, we release the chest down close towards the thighs. And then on inhale, we press into the feet as we come up to a standing position with arms following up overhead. And then press palms together, bring them down through heart center. We'll do a few rounds of sun salutations now to warm up our bodies. So on an inhale, let's reach up with the hands. Exhale, we fold, hinge at the hips. On an inhale, press the hands into the shins to come up to a flat back. Exhale, we release, chest comes towards the thighs. Let's have the hands meet the mat and we'll step back into a plank position. Now you could come down to your knees while you're here. Let's bend at the elbows as we lower ourselves down towards the mat. Then slide the chest forward and up to come into a cobra, or you could come up to an upward facing dog with your knees off of the mat. Release the chest back down and then tuck the toes, press into the hands, and bring yourself back into your downward facing dog. Take a breath here. And now let's look towards the top of the mat and walk the feet to the hands. On an inhale, let's press up to a flat back, hands meet the shins. Exhale, we release, forward fold, chest comes towards the thighs. Ground through the feet first before coming up on an inhale with arms reaching up overhead. And then press palms together, bring them down through heart center. Let's go for another round. Inhale, we reach up. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, lift up to a flat back. Exhale to release, fold, hands meet the mat. Let's step back into a plank position. You could come down to your knees again. Let's lower down to our chaturanga and slide the chest forward and up on an upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale to release the chest, then tuck the toes, press back, send the hips up and back to your downward facing dog. Take a breath, and then look towards the top of the mat and walk the feet towards the hands. On an inhale, we come up again to a flat back. Exhale to release the chest, forward fold. Ground through the feet first before coming up to a standing position. And then press palms together, bring them down through heart center. One more time. Inhale. Let's reach up. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, press up to flat back. Exhale, release, hands meet the mat. Step back to your plank. Bend at the elbows to lower down through your chaturanga. Slide the chest forward and up for upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale to release the chest, then tuck the toes, press back into a downward facing dog. Reconnect back to your breath if you lost it. Good, and then from here, let's lift that left leg into the sky. And then we bend the knee and send it forward towards the top of the mat so we can place that left foot down. As we do so, we bring that right knee down to meet the mat. And then swing the arms forward and up to come up into your low lunge. While we're here, we're thinking about sending the hips forward to sink deeper into the hips. Good, and now let's take that left hand and drop it either to the mat or to a block or to your hamstring. Find whatever is comfortable for you. And then we're going to send that right hand towards the back of the mat. So we're coming into a reverse low lunge. Good, and let's lift ourselves back up. We keep the twist towards the left as we bring the arms to shoulder height. Good, and let's windmill the hands towards the top of the mat. They come on the inside of that left foot. Then we're going to tuck the right toes underneath us so we can lift that right knee off of the mat and then press into the right hand so you can lift that left arm into the sky. So you could still drop your right knee here if you prefer. Find whatever works for you in your body today. Let's drop that left hand down to meet the mat. We press into the hand so we could send that left foot back to meet the right. And let's go through our vinyasa. I'm going to come down to my knees for this one. We bend at the elbows to lower down through our chaturanga. Slide the chest forward and up for cobra or upward facing dog. Release the chest back down, and then tuck the toes, press up into your downward facing dog. Take a breath to reset, and then we'll repeat on the other side. So this time we send that right foot into the sky, then bend the knee, send it forward towards the top of the mat, and then place that right foot down as we drop that back knee to the mat. On an inhale, let's slide or swing the arms forward and up for a low lunge. While we're here, make sure that that right knee is directly over your ankle as opposed to having it flare out to the side. Make sure your shoulders are away from the ears and you're reaching out through the crown of the head and your fingertips. Now let's drop that right hand down to a block mat or your hamstring, and then we send that left hand towards the back as we arch the spine and send the chest up to the sky. Bring yourself back up. We maintain the twist towards the right as we have our arms at shoulder height. And now let's windmill the hands towards the top of the mat. They come on the inside of that right foot. And then we tuck the left toes, lift up the left knee, press into the left hand so we can reach that right arm up to the sky. Let's drop that right hand back down to meet the mat. We press into the hand so we can send that right foot back. And then let's go through our vinyasa. Bend at the elbows to lower. On an inhale, slide the chest forward and up. Exhale to release the chest. Press back into your downward facing dog. Find your breath if you lost it. And take a moment here to reset. From here, let's lift that left leg into the sky once again. Keep the hips square to begin. And then on an exhale, we bend that right or the left knee as we open up the hips. Straighten that left leg once again, square off the hips. And then bend the left knee as you bring it forward as you come into a plank pose. Hold it for a breath and then send that leg back up once again to your three-legged dog. We'll repeat that a couple more times. So on an exhale, we bend into the knee. Inhale, we straighten the leg once again, square the hips. Bend the knee into the chest as you come forward on an exhale. One more time. Inhale, send that leg to your three-legged dog. Exhale, bend the knee, open up the hips. Inhale, square off the hips once again. And then bend the knee on an exhale, bring it forward into the chest. This time we drop that left leg onto the ground, or left foot onto the ground. Drop the right knee onto the ground, and then swing the arms forward and up once again to come back into your low lunge. Hold it for a breath. See if you can sink a little bit deeper into those hips. And now let's take the hands down to meet the mat. We walk the hands back as we shift the hips towards the back of the mat and straighten that left leg and flex that left foot. We're coming into our half split. Good, let's walk the hands forward once again as we bend into that left knee. And this time we tuck the right toes underneath us, swing the arms forward and up, and then lift that right knee off of the mat to come into your high lunge. See if you can sink a little bit deeper into the hips. And now let's drop the hands to meet the mat. Well done. Press into the hands to send that left foot back. And let's go through our vinyasa. On an exhale, we lower. Inhale, slide up to upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale to release the chest. Then press back into your downward facing dog. Take a breath, and then we'll repeat that on the right side. So this time we begin by sending that right leg into the sky. Keep the hips square to begin. And then on an exhale, we bend the knee as we open up the hips. Inhale, we square the hips as we straighten the leg once again. And then bend the knee on an exhale, bring it forward into your chest. 2 more times. Inhale, let's lift up to three-legged dog. Exhale, we bend the knee, open up the hips. Inhale, straighten the leg. Exhale, bend the knees, send it forward. 1 more. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, open up the hips. Inhale, straighten the leg. Exhale, bring the knee forward, and this time place that right foot down on the mat as we lower the left knee to meet the ground as well. Swing the arms forward and up to come into your low lunge. Once again, keep the shoulders away from the ears while you're here. Think about elongating out through the crown of the head and the fingertips. Now let's drop the hands to meet the mat. We walk the hands back as we send the hips towards the back and straighten that right leg and flex that right foot. And while you're here, think about lifting your chest, so keeping it off of your thigh so that you're elongating out through your spine and the crown of the head. And you can also use blocks here on the side here if that's helpful for you to elongate your spine. Let's walk the hands forward as we bend back into that right knee. Swing the arms forward and up. And then let's tuck the left toes. Lift that left knee off of the mat. Now let's drop the hands to meet the mat. Press into the hands so we could send that right leg back. And let's go through our vinyasa. Bend at the elbows to lower. Inhale, lift the chest up to a cobra, upward facing dog. Exhale to release the chest and press back into your downward facing dog. And take a breath to reset, reconnect back to your center. And from here, let's begin by taking our right leg into the sky this time. Then we bend the knee, send it forward, place that right foot down onto the mat, and we swing the arms forward and up to come into our high lunge once again. See if you can sink a little bit deeper into those hips. And now let's open up the chest and hips to the long edge of the mat. As we do so, we drop that left heel down onto the floor. Hands come down or arms come down to shoulder height. And our gaze is forward just past our fingertips for a warrior two. Good, and from here, let's flip the right palm so it faces towards the ceiling. And on an inhale, we extend that right leg as we send the right fingertips and hand towards the back of the mat. While we're here, try not to have all of your weight on your left hand. Instead, think about sending your weight into your feet. Now let's windmill the hands once again towards the top of the mat, and then the right hand meets the mat, or you can place a block and place it underneath you to bring the floor a bit closer to you if you need, and then extend that left arm into the sky for our Trikonasana. Good, and from here, let's bend into that right knee. So we do so, we swing that left arm down towards the mat and then lift it up so that the left bicep is by the ear. And you can keep the right hand on a mat or on a block, or you can lift your forearm and place it so that it rests on your right thigh. Whichever variation you're taking of your side angle pose, just make sure that you're still turning your chest up towards the ceiling and reaching out through those right or left fingertips. Good, let's bring our hands down to meet the mat. We lift that back heel off of the mat and then press into the hands so we could send that right foot back and go back through our vinyasa. Let's bend on an exhale to lower. And inhale, slide the chest forward and up to cobra, upward facing dog. Release the chest back down. Press back into your downward facing dog. Find your breath once again. And we repeat on the other side. This time we begin by taking that left leg into the sky and bend the knee, send it forward to place that left foot down on the mat. We keep the back knee lifted up as we swing the arms forward and up to come once again into our high lunge. From here, let's open up the hips and chest to the side as we drop that back heel, lower the arms to shoulder height, gaze comes forward. From here, let's flip that left palm so it faces towards the ceiling. And then we bring that arm towards the back of the mat as we straighten the left leg. See how far back you can reach with those fingertips. And windmill the arms, bring yourself up. Send the left hand down towards the mat or a block and lift that right arm up to the sky. And while we're in our triangle pose, try to keep both sides of the torso lifted or straightened so that you're not crunching into the left side. Good, let's come into our side angle pose. We bend into the left knee, swing that right hand down and around so the right bicep comes by the right ear, and then bring the left hand either to a mat, to a block, or lift the forearm so it rests on your thigh. Good, and let's bring our hands down to meet the mat. We bring that left heel off, or the right heel, off of the mat to press into the hands, send that left foot back, and let's go through our vinyasa. Exhale as you lower, and inhale, slide up to cobra, upward facing dog. Exhale to release the chest, then press back into your downward facing dog. I know I mentioned that we would be working on building some strength today, so you might be feeling it at this point. I know I definitely am. So just know that you're not alone. Good, and then from here, we're going to gently bring our knees all the way down to meet the mat. And we'll send the hips back to come into a child's pose. So just rest the forehead on the mat. Find your breath to recenter yourself if you had lost it. And walk the hands back in towards you as you lift yourself back up. We're going to come into a seated position on our mat. So you could swing the legs around so that they're out in front of you. And we'll begin by bending into our left knee, and we'll take it so that the foot comes into the pelvis area, and we're open up towards the long edge of the mat. And then from here, we're going to reach out with our left fingertips, or left hand, and then bring that arm up and over to try to touch your right foot. So while we're here, we're thinking about opening up the chest to the ceiling as we're reaching out through those fingertips. Good, and come and bring yourself back up. If you have sensitive knees, it would be a good idea to just have a blanket so that you can have it around and use it as you need for the next few poses or asanas. So from here, we're going to bring the left hand back behind us, and then we're going to send the hips forward and up as we bring our right arm towards the back. So we're coming into a half wild thing here. So if you need the support with the blanket, you can place it underneath your left knee while you're here for some extra cushioning. And otherwise, we're just arching the entire spine and trying to reach back with that right hand. And let's lift ourselves slowly back up. We're going to drop our right hand onto our right leg. We reach out with the left arm once again, and then bring that right hand or the left hand over towards the right. Now you can stay here, or if you want to work on your balance and stability a bit, let's drop that right hand down to meet the mat. As we do so, we lift that right leg into the sky so that it's parallel to the mat, and then we reach that right arm up to the sky. So engage the core while you're here, and think about there being a straight line or a string all the way from that right heel out through the crown of the head. Good. Now let's drop that right foot to meet the mat as we slowly lower our hips all the way down to come back into a seated position on the mat. We're facing forward or towards the top of the mat. The sole of the left foot meets the inside of that right thigh. And then on an inhale, let's reach up with our arms. And exhale, we fold over that right leg. So while you're here, you could take an active or passive version of this stretch. So if you want a more passive version, you could round the spine, drop the head, and let the head hang heavy. If you want a more active version, let's lift the chest and keep an elongated spine, and think about reaching out through the crown of the head as you bring the crown of the head closer towards your right foot. Let's slowly start to bring ourselves back up, and we'll repeat that on the other side. So this time we extend the left leg out, bend into the right knee, take it in so that the foot comes in towards the pelvis. We open up to the long edge of the mat, and this time we extend the right arm out to the side and then reach it up and over to come towards your left foot. And let's come on up. Once again, you can use your blanket here if you need for your knees. This time we press into the right hand behind us as we send the hips up and forward, and we swing that left arm down and around. So while you're here, think about arching the spine and sending those hips out in front of you. Good, and let's lift ourselves all the way up. From here, let's drop that left hand onto our left leg. We reach out with the right hand this time and bring it over towards the left foot once again. And if you want to work on your balance a bit, come out of this so that we can drop the right hand down to meet the mat and start to engage your core, and then lift that left foot into the sky and reach that left arm up towards the ceiling. And let's drop that left foot down to the mat and slowly drop the hips all the way down. Everyone comes out of that. And we keep the left leg extended out in front of us as the sole of the right foot meets the inner left thigh. And on an inhale, let's reach up with our arms. And then exhale, we fold over that left leg. And once again, you can take either an active or a passive version of this stretch. Once again, consider what your body is calling for right now and just give it that. And let's come out of this. Walk the hands back in closer towards you as you lift yourself up. We're going to extend the right leg out. We'll do one final fold here before we come down to our mat. So have both legs straight out. And on an inhale, we reach up with our arms. And on an exhale, let's fold over both legs. Let's make this a passive version. So let the head hang heavy and round the spine. And once again, bring yourself back up. We're going to engage the core as we start to make our way down to the mat. So have your arms extended out in front of you. And then inch by inch, start to roll yourself all the way down to the mat. See how slowly you can go. And then when you can fight it no more, can gently release yourself down to the mat. And then settle or get settled here. I'm just going to reposition myself. And then we'll do our last few asanas or poses and then close our practice for today. So we'll begin by bending the knees and then taking the feet out so that they're about hip width distance apart. We're going to have our arms by our side and we're going to come into a bridge pose. So on an inhale, engage the core, press into the feet and hands as you lift your hips off of the mat. And once again, you can use a block here and place it underneath your hips if you like. If you're not using a block, see how much height you can get out of your hips. And then let's remove the block if you are using one, and then everyone slowly start to lower yourself all the way down to the mat. Good. And then let's bend the knees into the chest. We'll give ourselves a hug here. So just wrap your arms around your shins and tuck the chin into the chest. Give yourself a nice hug. You can rock side to side if that feels good for you. And then release the head back down to meet the mat. Let's take the knees out so that they're shoulder width apart, and then send the soles so that they face towards the ceiling. And then we reach on the inside of our inner thighs to grab hold of the outer edges of our feet. So we're coming into our happy baby pose. So press into the hands so that you can bring the knees a bit closer towards you. And once again, you could add some movement and rock side to side if that feels good in your body. And now we gently release the feet down. Let's keep the feet lifted, actually. So we'll have the legs so that they're at 90 degrees here. We'll have our arms extended out to the side, and we'll finish off with a couple of twists. So let's take the knees to the left to begin. So let's just bring the knees over to the left side. And once again, you can have a block and place it underneath your knees if you want the additional support. And if it feels good in your body, you could turn your head over to the right. Allow your body to relax and settle here. Allow the mat to hold the full weight of you. And let's bring the knees back up to center, and we'll bring them over to the other side. So let's tip the knees over now to the right side. And once again, you can turn the head over to the left if you like. And as we're winding down from our practice, try to notice any effects that this flow had on your body. Notice what your body feels like now. And it's okay if it doesn't feel any different from when we started. We're just here to acknowledge any shifts and changes. Wonderful. Let's bring our knees back up to center. And then we're going to extend the legs out for a final stretch. Let's bring the arms up overhead and just try to elongate your body. And then on an exhale, let's release. Bring your arms down by your sides. You could close off the eyes here if you like. We're just going to take a couple of final breaths here to close off our practice. So on an inhale, let's breathe in through the nostrils. Allow the air to fill up your entire body. And exhale out through the mouth. We'll do one more. Inhale, breathe in. And exhale to release. Now you can still stay in your Shavasana if you like. Otherwise, I invite you to meet in a seated position so that we close off our practice. And so I hope that you enjoyed that flow and that you feel a little bit more stretched out in your body. Let me know how the flow was for you in the comments. But otherwise, I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.